What up, everybody? Welcome to another video. The discussion. I hope you are doing well. I'm drinking a tangerine and what is it? Ginger extract? I don't know what the hell that is. Topo Chico. That's what I should have started with. The brand name. Topo Chico. Let's talk boxing, guys. Let's talk Turkey Alex Sheik. Let's talk Canelo Alvarez, the whole sort of feud between them and, Terence Crawford, and how demand for the fight kind of went down, kind of dropped after his last fight, his last performance against Israel Madrimov, which, by the way, he won. Right, but of course some people, I think in the minority of people, believe that he lost and Madrimov did enough to win the fight. Now, me personally, I'm not one that thinks that was the case. I think Madrimov kind of did a lot of feinting and a lot of posturing. He was overthinking it to a certain extent, because he knew that Terence Crawford was one of these guys that was very good at counterpunching. He was very good at catching people slipping, catching people reaching too far, stuff like this. Now, I had broke the fight down before, talking about Terence Crawford, what he likes to do when he's in southpaw stance. And I mentioned that if he goes into the fight in a southpaw stance, that means he's going to want to stay on the outside and stay away from you and just test you out. When he does the opposite, when he meets you in your stance, then that means he wants to trade a little more, just trade a little more. Which makes it even more worrisome that Madrimov caught him with a lot of right hands. Because... One moment. I'm having one of these gummies. But, I mean, when a southpaw meets an orthodox southpaw, whatever, it's very easy to land that right hand. Okay, it's very easy to land it. Now, for Terence, I know a lot of people ain't going to believe me when I say this, but Terence gets caught with a lot of right hands, historically, meaning throughout his career. He has been vulnerable to a right hand. Okay, this isn't nothing new. Madrimov just hit him a lot more than he usually gets hit. And number two, the reaction of the way, it was just really hard shots that he was getting hit with. Of course, Terence wasn't getting hurt, per se. Or maybe he was, but he just didn't seem like it. And that's a good thing, right? That's good, because it means that he has punch resistance, and he may be able to. Well, he's not, but you could probably think, okay, he may be able to handle Canelo's power. But still, he was getting hit way too much by Madrimov. And the stock went down for that fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford because of that, because they saw that and they were like, Canelo is faster. Canelo's probably going to throw better shots than Madrimov. Canelo's also stronger and packs more of a punch. So people don't want to see that. A lot of people don't want to see that fight anymore, including Turkey Alex Sheik. And the reason Turkey Alex Sheik doesn't want to see the fight anymore is because he doesn't want to waste his money. That's the number one reason, in my opinion. He doesn't want to put money into a fight where one of the fighters' main objective isn't to win the fight. It's plainly to make money off of it. And I think he suspects that that's what Terence Crawford is in it for, because the possibilities of him winning the fight now became narrower. They became smaller. So now it seems like if he sees it, I'm pretty sure Terence Crawford kind of sees it. But now it would be stupid of him, of Turkey El Sheik, to put money, um, into this fight, knowing that one of the fighters may just be, going into the fight purely for monetary reasons. Now, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Terence Crawford stands a chance against Canelo Alvarez? I think the fight should still be made because, Canelo Alvarez is not a small fighter. I mean, a big fighter. He's not. He comes from a lower weight class. A lot of people forget that. And a lot of people forget that most of the people that he's fought, contrary to what Terence Crawford would like to believe or to make people believe, most of the fights he's had is against bigger opponents. Not smaller. Now, some of them were smaller. Excuse me. Some of them were smaller, like, for example, Amir Khan, right? And you could even say to a certain extent Cotto, but, not really. Mayweather, who he lost against, right? Terence Crawford, on the other hand, he can't really say much about that because most of Terence Crawford's career, he's fought people smaller than him or the same size. And I could go down the list. There's way more than Canelo's, I'll tell you that. And Canelo actually has way more giants in his list than Terence Crawford does. And I'll start with number 1, Gamboa. Okay. Number 2, Kell Brooks. Kell Brooks was smaller than him. Number 3, who else is there? I mean, most of the people in his list. What's the guy that has a podcast now? What's his name? Porter. You see, so and I could keep going with these guys that Terence Crawford has faced. Most of them are smaller than him. Most of them, with the exception of maybe Spence. And you look at that fight, and you look at both of them; they're about the same size. So even the guys who Terence Crawford wants to believe are bigger than him were actually the same size as him. And this fight against Madrimov was no exception. This fight against Madrimov, the media was trying to make people believe that Madrimov was more of a threat because of his size. When we saw the fight, it was more about skills. He had the skills to beat Terence. He just didn't capitalize on him. He was too scared. He was too afraid to get caught. But if you look at this picture and you look at other pictures, the weigh-in and even through the fight, Madrimov was not that much bigger than Terence Crawford. And then you start looking at some of the promotional shows that they make. Kind of like you guys remember 24/7 from back in the day. The Zone has its own version called 40 Days or something like that. And in that TV show, we saw a bunch of shots of Madrimov working on the mitts, and he was always either shirtless or with a short sleeve shirt, showing off his muscles. He used to have, like, sometimes we would wear shorts, showing off his leg muscles, and people would look at that, take pictures, take a little snapshot, and then put it online talking about Madrimov is a problem because he's bigger, right? But we never saw Terence Crawford like that in training camp. We never saw him without a shirt. We never saw him with no short sleeve shirts. We never saw his leg muscles, nothing. We never saw any of that. And I thought that was always very peculiar when you look at that 40-day promotional TV show, that the machine, meaning the media, it was trying to make it seem like Madrimov was bigger than Terence. It was this giant that was towering over Terence Crawford. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Even though, yes, Madrimov did compete in a higher weight class when he was an amateur. He's a small fighter. He's a small fighter. Even for this weight division, if Terence Crawford continues in this weight division, he's gonna meet other people that are actually bigger than both of these guys. And then he's gonna realize that he fought probably the most skilled fighter in the division, but not necessarily the biggest. And I remember back in the day I told you guys, when you guys see Terence Crawford, when the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo happens, you guys are going to see how great Canelo is because of the fact that he's not that much bigger than Terence. And that should flip a switch in your mind and realize, okay, who's been holding themselves back for so long to fight in these smaller weight classes and who hasn't? In my opinion, Terence Crawford is more of an opportunist than an actual go-getter, in my personal opinion. And he's very good at it. And he almost lost this fight. Now, a little bit about the fight between Madrimov and Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford was very hesitant in the first couple of rounds, and I feel like that's what lost him the fight. The number two thing that lost him the fight is that he lacks speed, and he was never much of a volume puncher in general. He was a volume puncher, but not in the sense to where he could throw flurries or combinations. His combinations is usually 2, maybe 3 shots. And the space in between them it's a big gap in between them. So basically the beat would be boom, boom, right? Or boom, and then boom. When Terence Crawford, it's more like, so it's much, much more punches and less space in between them. That's not going to be a problem with Canelo. Because Canelo knows how to change rhythms. He knows how to change speeds. He probably already knows how to set up shots in less time than it took Madrimov. Madrimov, it took him like 5 or 6 rounds for him to realize where the openings were. I don't think it's going to take that long for Canelo. But excuse me, we're just going to have to see, guys, because I still think the fight could happen. I think it's not that unrealistic for Terence Crawford to want the Canelo fight. The reason he actually wants the fight is because Terence Crawford knows that he's really bigger than what he's been showing people. That's why he wants to fight. And he feels like this is an opportunity to beat a guy who's been doing all the work that he should have been doing before. So it's basically like a guy is doing all the work, and then he just wants to come and capitalize on all of his work and pretend like it's him. You know what I mean? And that's what he feels like he's doing to Canelo in this moment. And Canelo, he's really tired of it because that's what everybody's been trying to do to him for a very long time. You see all of these other guys not moving up to fight all of these other, Eastern European fighters that are up there in those higher weight divisions. But they want to fight him. They're down to fight him. Why? Because they know that he's really not from there. He's really not a big guy. He's a small guy like these guys. You know what I mean? And so them beating him is gonna be they'd rather take their chances with him than to go up there and fight Bebo, than to go up there and fight what's the other guy? Beterbiev. To go up there and fight any of those other guys. Nobody is trying to fight nobody except for Canelo. Why? Because they want the appearance of them going up, but they don't actually want to do it. And that's what I think is the main reason why I'm rooting for Canelo, because of that reason. Now, will he win? I think that Canelo, he's just more experienced when it comes to taking punches from bigger guys. He's also slicker than bigger guys, and he's slicker than smaller guys. He's out slicked smaller guys too. which, if you think about it, that's the definition of a pound for pound fighter. A guy that could fight small guys and bigger guys. You know, and yeah. So if the fight happens, now right now they're saying that Canelo is scared or whatever. Canelo already made a fight. Everybody already had their respective fights. He is now working on Berlanga, who I don't agree with. Um, he should be fighting, but what are you gonna do? He's fighting him already. He can't start talking about negotiations with a Terence Crawford in the middle of a Berlanga fight. He will be unprofessional and it will be stupid. Um, the other thing is, Mr. Turkey, that she has been very disrespectful. I personally believe that because of that, Canelo, I think it would be better for them to wait Terence Crawford out because it would be a bad look for Canelo, for him to bow down to the Turk, he doesn't need him. He doesn't need Turkey. He doesn't need Terence. The reason I say Canelo is tired of it is because they keep bringing up these guys, that they think that are better than Canelo. He faces them, and then they don't want to fight. They go in the ring, and they're not really fighting. They're not really there to fight. They're there for a paycheck. They run around the ring. Canelo has to bring the fight. Canelo has to bring the people. Canelo has to bring the money. And he has to bring the fight. And that is what I believe Canelo is tired of. He's just tired of trying to please his haters. Terence Crawford is just another tool of the haters. And he realizes that. He realizes that when he goes in there and he beats Terence Crawford, because he's going to beat him, they're going to be like, oh, but Terence Crawford did good for 5 rounds. And you know who else did? Amir Khan. You know who else did? Cotto. You know who else he moved around a little bit? Charlo. And they still didn't give him credit for any of those fights. Because at the end of that, they were like, oh, well, they were too... It was just the size. It was just the size advantage. That's what it was. And that's the curse. It's not just the curse of the number one. It's the curse of a Mexican. Because every time a Mexican knocks somebody out, because they have to knock them out or else they won't get the decision, what do they say? Oh, the other guy was doing all the skillful shit until the Mexican just hit him with a lucky shot. That's the way it is. That's the curse of the Mexican. The same thing happened to Rayo. Remember when Rayo knocked out that one guy who stole the fight from him? Rayo Valenzuela? What did they say? What did they say after that fight? They were like, yeah, the other guy, he was doing all the slick shit. He was doing all but he just got caught. That's it. He just got caught. Minimizing what the Mexican did and maximizing the fact that the other guy lost. So you think Canelo doesn't know about this? You think if I know about it, you think Canelo doesn't see that? And he sees that they're using this guy to try and minimize whatever he does. It's just, at this point, they're flipping coins at him. They're throwing dice at him and hoping that one of these guys beats him. And even when he is successful, they're still going to diminish his accomplishments. So I think Canelo, in my opinion, he's trying to fight Bebo and or Beterbiev. One of those two. The winner of that fight, that's who Canelo wants. Now, of course, most people are going to be like, it's more realistic and better for him to fight these guys. The Benavideses, the Terence Crawfords. It's more realistic. And that is true. It is more realistic, and it's probably going to be easier. Like he says, it's probably going to be easy work. But I don't think he wants easy work. I think he wants the hard work. I think easy work is something that was invented by a guy who literally wanted easy work, who literally wanted to be an opportunist. But like I said before, ain't no Chihuahua fighting no Huskies except for Canelo. And all of these other guys, they're just picking on the Chihuahua that has beaten the Huskies before. I hope that makes sense. But that's gonna be it for today, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.